Good afternoon to you once again. And let me take this opportunity to welcome all the panelists to this important discussion on um, issues affecting environment in the Gambia and how we're going to come up with solutions and a way forward. Um, the panelists, the Binta has given us background information about all of them, and going by what is mentioned here, I think this session is going to be a very fruitful discussion that everybody is going to learn a lot from it. So before we delve into the discussion proper, I want to just give a rundown of what is expected. The first presenter here will be, of course, Dr. Dauda Baji, who is going to present on environmental sanitation issues in the Gambia, challenges and the way forward. So each of the presenter or panelists is going to have 15 minutes maximum, and within these 15 minutes, you just give us an opening remark, which is, of course, going to be 8 minutes, but it can be even less than that. And you go into your presentations. And upon completion of our presentations, I have two questions that I'm going to ask each. And afterwards, we'll open the discussion where everybody will find time to ask questions. So if we are good to go, then I will just go straight away and invite Dr. Dauda Baji to present to us environmental sanitation issues in the Gambia and what are the challenges and way forward. Doctor, you have the floor, please. Thank you.
To be part of this important discourse and talking about issues related to environment in the Gambia. And from environmental perspective, we not always talk about only Gambia. We may also talk about what also our role could be detrimental to other parts of the world, both from a regional perspective or international point of view. So when you mention sanitation or environmental sanitation. Actually, sanitation here you are referring to cleanliness, how healthy our environment is in the area we live or in any area we may find ourselves. So, from a national perspective, you've realized that issues of sanitation has been a challenge over the years, and it is also continuing to be a challenge. And it is important that as a people, we need to look at these things squarely on how best we can actually address some of these issues. You may not say you're going to get environmentally clean country throughout. However, we're supposed to make effort to ensure that issues that are really detrimental to making our environment healthy for us and our future generation are taken care of accordingly. So environmental sanitation, when you look at it from a broader perspective, is anything that we do that is going to enhance cleanliness in wherever we live. In a situation where we as a people are doing a lot of detrimental aspect that is affecting the sanitary aspect of the environment. That is something that we need to look at, and it's a big challenge for this country. So in other words, you've realized that over the years, due to demographic, maybe somebody in the demographic aspect may come and talk about certain aspect, but you realize that over the years, there's a lot of change in terms of how we live, how we act, what kind of activities we are doing, that to some degree also enhance pollution. Our daily lives contribute greatly towards the pollution of our environment. And this is something that comes from us. And as higher animals, we are the higher animals. The monkeys will not come and take care of our environment. because the pollution is actually common form of nature. Our activities to really both economic and other social activities has serious detrimental effect on the sanity of the environment, which really need a collective responsibility. So in the Gambia, you realize that you find a lot of pollution going on from our homes, from our factories, from whatever. And this is a challenge. The government, for example, if I put it from that perspective here, I'm going to talk about from an academic perspective. I'm now representing the university rather than sitting as executive director of this institution. But I can also realize that looking at the situation we have, the government also takes certain steps, the driving policies that are geared towards how we can enhance our environment, as well as taking also directive that is going to make sure that we are able to control some of those things, which is legislating certain aspects that are going to help us in addressing some of these issues. These are here, but the reality is, are we really acting towards how we can get this thing, which is a challenge, and that is also compounded by so many things. Looking at our social setup, we are, as a country, we are very, very interconnected. And sometimes we found it very, the maslaha syndrome, as some of you always put it, we are so interconnected that even somebody is doing wrong, because I'm connected to comma, even comma is doing wrong, no, it's okay. And that's why some of the challenges that is difficult for us to make sure that we achieve what we're supposed to achieve. And one thing is very, very clear. If you put a toxic waste within a drain and expect that it's going to harm Mr. Y or Madam Z, at the end of the day, it's going to come back to you. So those are some of the things that we have to put through awareness creation to be able to inform the public what are we doing that is actually affecting us and our future generation, as well as other animals or other living creatures, God created living creatures that cannot come and defend themselves. But man is a problem to some degree on this earth, because most of the problem that we have, whether from a national perspective or an international perspective, is actually, most of them are created by ourselves. And I think it is also better for us to look at it from that perspective to ensure that the environment you pollute may come back to you and your family. So there are opportunities in terms of that. Opportunities here, or some of the things that we can do here, is how we can really engage the general public. I always mention in some of my discussions, I always say that everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And you'll never reach heaven without tasting the death. So in a sense, if you know that the pollution you are creating on this environment is actually leading to your grave, then you will think twice, because all of us want to be here. Even the imams or the pastors, if they are in the mosque where they are praying, everything is okay. But if there is something that is related to that, the salat will be forgotten, or whatever prayer they are doing will be forgotten. So in a sense, I think when people are really, and this is where people who know can come and discuss with people. And this is the kind of trend that we are doing, engaging religious leaders, telling them their role. You are also going to the mosque, but you are jumping all kind of that. And maybe when you reach at the mosque, almost all your ablution is spoiled, because you have jumped so many. Where are those things coming? These are people who are actually from our homes, who are Muslims, who are whatever religion they believe, who are Christians. If you are going to the church on Sundays, everybody dressed in the best, so that you want God to hear you because you are clean. But how many that are you jumping from your home to the church, or from your home to the mosque to pray? and who are creating it. And I think people have to be ready to take up responsibilities. It's not a particular institution that's supposed to address. People have to be ready to talk to people. What you are doing is against this. What you are doing, this is the implications that you're going to get. And not only you, your family, and other people. And that will help a lot in addressing some of the challenges that we have in terms of enhancing our environmental sanitation. I know there's, for me, nothing is impossible unless we don't. When there's a will, there'll always be a way. That is always my paradigm. And I feel that the country can do a lot to address some of the issues that we have. And that could be a collective responsibility. All of us sitting here, how many deaths are we creating in our own homes? How many people are you seeing in your own territory that are messing up? But you don't say anything. And you want to pass something to do something. You want to tell somebody to take care of this. How many waste are we generating? If you go to the mall, they give you a toothpaste, you put it in a plastic bag. Instead of put it in your pocket, you just take it in a plastic bag and go. Who is going to take care of that waste? So if you take it, I take it, somebody does it, how many tons of waste are we going to generate? Who is the responsible? This is what we call individual responsibility for collective failure. So it is something that we have to work together. And then we'll be able to do what is expected of us as a country. So I think I'll pause for a while we look for other supplements. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
opportunity again. So come.
Thank you very much, Doctor. It was well articulated, and I guess the participants they are going to learn a lot from it and prepare to ask also some very useful and pertinent questions. So I have two questions to ask you, but before that, I like what you mentioned about when you said everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And this is very true. And this reminds me of what we also always say. If we don't take care of the environment, so the environment will take care of us. And when that happens, it's not going to be very pleasant for us. The environment taking care of us is going to be very negative way. So on that note, let me ask you this question, Doctor. The country is facing a lot of environmental challenges. Of course, since you are not on this platform as the head of an institution, but as a researcher or lecturer at the university, of course, as somebody heading an institution that is responsible for protecting and managing the country's environment, how can we improve and maintain a sustainable environment for the present and the future generations? Because, of course, we are living here today because of the generations that passed this environment to us. Otherwise, it would not have been very conducive for us if they spoiled that environment that we are enjoying here today. So, what do you have to say about that, Doctor?
Thank you very much. I think that's a very important question. A week ago, I was invited to a lunch, and that lunch by one what you call one society that is trying to promote the issue of enhancing our environment. And one of the center of their discussion was the Banjul Declaration, which is actually looking at our, in a short period of time, how the environment is being destroyed. And that was actually spearheaded by the godfather, the president, the first president of the republic. And what I said is very, very simple in that discussion when I was asked to give a statement. And I said the issue of addressing environmental issues in Gambia lies in our hands, particularly the current generation of this country. And some of the things that we have to try to make sure that we as Gambians, we have to change our attitude towards the way we look at our environment. If you really want to live in a sustainable environment for us and our future generation. I think the Gambians, when we are out, we can be ready to obey every law. But when we are here, we don't want to obey any law. And that is a big challenge. You can see a very, very, even flashy cars. You see carrying children on the way. When they are going, they'll be throwing all kind of things. And when you look at it, these are even people of responsibility. And the laws are there, to be honest. And the laws also have been actually affected as a result of our maslah. And this is the kind of thing that's kind of thinking that we're supposed to stop. Otherwise, we're going to mess up our environment, and our children will never forgive us. Because we are here because somebody left something for us. And for them, they don't going to have anything. And you know, the children, our children will not be like maybe we are. We can still respect our parents because whatever they are, but them, they may not be able to respect us in the way, particularly if you give it the natural setting. Now, look at how it is. Who are creating those problems? It's ourselves. So one thing that I always propagate, I said, the other approach that we use is to make sure that create awareness for people so that they know what they are doing is wrong. And this is the implication that are associated with what we are doing. So that helps a lot. Because if environment is clean, other things are in are also, they said a healthy environment is a healthy mind is supposed to be in a healthy environment. All diseases that we may come and discover that if you have a very dirty environment, that is a recipe for diseases, a recipe for whatever you think about. And that cut across even our food chain. So if you grow your crops in a dirty, a polluted environment, you are likely to eat polluted food. That has health implication on us. So the issue is one that is from a government perspective is to make sure that we enforce the law to the letter, irrespective of who is violating the law. The other thing is creating necessary awareness using all kind of forms of awareness creation so that people will know what we are doing is actually going to impact on us now and our future generation. And we are seeing it over the years, the kind of calamities that are coming that are environmental related. They were not here before, about 20 years or 30 years ago. So we
Okay.
are seeing it. So now we are almost going towards our grave from our own making.
Uh, thank you so much. My final question for you is, despite being universally recognized as a critical development issue, environmental sanitation management remains a challenge in the country. You mentioned some strategies that are already in place, but if you can highlight what strategic priorities are in place for managing these environmental menace in the Gambia.
Yeah, I think because as I said, when you look at the environment, it encompasses a lot of things, and managing the environment cannot be taken care of by one institution because you have different components. The whole aspect of environmental is actually in three medias. You have the water, the air, and the land. And in that three medium, there are other institutions also that play a critical role in ensuring that we have a very conducive environment for us. So from the agency's perspective, that is a kind of serving as a coordinating role. When we need to look at from a marine perspective, we need to deal with other people who are actually work together to ensure that. And those are the beauty about Gambia is the fact that whenever we read our laws related to how we're going to manage our natural resources, they are up to standard. Whether it's a law, whether it's a policy. But what is important here is how can we implement those policies? How do we practicalize those policies into realities? That is the challenge. And that as technicians, as us, what are we going to do in wherever we live to ensure that you don't need to be I always say that whether you're an accountant or a demographer, you need to clean your environment, because the repercussion does not spare whether you are an accountant or a fitter. And if you see somebody doing something wrong, it is important for you to really alert that individual and make sure that what he's doing, just like when somebody putting I don't know, fire or however you call it, I tell you, no, it's not my area, it's not my problem. But when the problem comes bigger, you become part of the problem. So these are some of the things that we have to look at. So as a country, from the agency's perspective, what we are doing now is to make sure, yes, we have what we call catch them young, try to engage the young ones so that at least they have that environmental conscious. But as well, as far as actually enforcing whatever legislated within our powers to ensure that people are doing what is expected of them in terms of managing the environment, because this is our responsibility. But that responsibility has to be done collectively.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Doctor. The questions were well answered. All the topics here are very relevant, but if you look at the way yours is framed, it's like your topic is the umbrella of all the discourses that we are going to have here today. Because if the sanitary aspect of the environment is not conducive, that means the demographer you mentioned will not be able to live comfortably. Our biological diversity is going to be in jeopardy. Likewise, there's going to be resistance in the antimicrobials in disease control. So it's like your topic is very, very apt, and we thank you for that. And before you leave, finally, I think Baba Kunta has a question for you, please.
First of all, apologize for me if you can hear me, because I'm not sure whether you can hear me, although I can hear you. I want
Yeah,
to apologize for coming in late. I've been struggling all along, to get connected. The internet has been too bad from my end. I wish I knew I would have come to Dauda Baji's office, get connected. So unfortunately, I wasn't following. So I'm not sure I have a question for Dauda. I'm just trying to get connected so I can have my presentations here. Dr. Baji, well done. I think that's it for now.
no problem. Thank you, Baba. Thank you so much. And Doctor, we thank you for your presentation on environmental sanitation issues in the Gambia, challenges and the way forward.